Alex, what's the evolution of the art scene in Miami?
Miami is an extraordinary art scene, and we're proud to be part of the infrastructure. There are an amazing number of artists living here. There are super great young galleries. There are really wonderful museums, and of course, Miami is famous for its collectors, and there's an incredible...
But the scene of collectors, there's an evolution too.
There's incredible depth, and then there's generational passage, and there's a really deep bench of young collectors who are super excited. I'll cite my friend John Marquez, who's a trustee of ICA Miami and opened a foundation 2 years ago called Marquez Art Projects. I think he's an example of collectors who are getting involved in multiple ways, really with a declared interest in supporting artists working here in Miami too. And we have been the beneficiary, not just of great young artists building practices here, but also established artists like, for instance, Kennedy Yanko moving to Miami and building their practices here and, you know, enjoying what the city has to offer as well.
What about the influence of the politics on the art scene?
You know, I think art is about the exchange of images and ideas, and so I think artists have a lot to take on. I mean, Miami is a super global place, and there are also very global politics that are at stake here, particularly as they relate to the Latin American diasporas.
But there's an opposition between most of the opinion of the artist and everyone vote. The majority of vote in this place in Florida was more conservative, right?
The contestation is what art is all about. So, you know, I think artists have a broad brush to take on a variety of social and political issues. And certainly if they have urgency here, then that's a great thing.
And so how do you drive your program here?
We focus on first institutional platforms as much as possible, although not exclusively, or showcasing parts of an artist's career that haven't been showcased before. So, I mean, we're in the midst of a first U.S. museum solo exhibition for Lucy Bull. We're also the first museum to acquire her work. We have a first large-scale project for Margaret Mo. We have a first U.S. museum show for Ruben Valentine, one for Jing Shilun. We're also the first museum to acquire work for, and first U.S. museum exhibition for Keiichi Tanami. So our collection begins in 1957. The work that we show is all about the dialogue between the post-war period and very contemporary work, and we have a very kind of global lens, but deeply rooted in Miami and our ecosystem as well.
And for a while, at the beginning of the fair, Miami was considered as shallow in terms of art. So now it's not the same, right? Because of you?
I leave that to you. I mean, I've lived here for 11 years, and it's been an incredible dynamic upswing. But I would say part of my job is working to ensure that the institutions have a really strong foundation and really impact the community. And I'm glad if you think that we're doing that. I think that's...
Yeah, very much. For example, Ruben Valentine is great too.
Thank you, yeah. I mean, we've been fortunate to showcase a lot of really amazing historical work at our museum, whether it's Ahmed Morsi, Huguette Caland, Carlos Alfonso, Donald Judd, and so on and so forth, bringing to light elements of a body of work that have yet to be seen.
And Judith Chicago before anyone. Before anyone.
Yeah, working with Judy was an extraordinary project, and yes, I thought it's a show and an experience of curation with an artist whose voice is incredibly powerful that I remember very fondly, and I do think that show had a lot of resonance. We were able to showcase work from the 1960s that was really unfamiliar to people, and subsequently has been highly heralded, and also to build the story, which I think was, in the case of Judy's work, really an important piece, tell the story of her development from the seminal 1960s work towards the present, although that show spanned only 40 years in a dynamic career that's even longer.
Merci, monsieur.
Thank you.